Well, YouTube, I'm back. I've been gone for a long time. A lot of you might know that I've only been on social media for just over a year, and that doesn't mean I spent an actual full year on social media, but I've been posting mostly on Instagram. I posted some on YouTube, but I didn't know I would get so much pushback or hate, as most people call it. A lot of it has to do with the fact that I told some people that based on the fuel flow numbers that Hannibal makes 3,500 horsepower just on the engine with the supercharger. And in interviews I've done, I've said that the nitrous oxide system is configured for 2,000 horsepower. Never said that that's how much it makes, but that's what it's configured for. So, but I get a lot of comments, and most of them are negative. And when I go look at the page of the person that made the comments, I see stuff that's not even automotive related. So we're not the same. Okay. A little more of my background. I'm 63 years old. I've been working with cars all my life. Hanging around my family who had garages. And some of my family, you know, they lived on farms, so they had equipment barns. And those were my favorite places. I started getting a paycheck when I was 9. If you could see my my Social Security printout, you'll see that I've been getting a paycheck for a very long time. But it's all I ever wanted to do was work on cars. In fact, a customer at the gas station, before I was working there, I guess I was about 7 or 8, a customer gave me a ride in his Corvette, stick shift, blue, convertible top was down. And when that guy took off from in front of my house, he was all over the street. I thought my mother, who was not in the car, who was watching, I thought she would flip out. We rode around in that car for probably 20 minutes, half an hour, and I thought it was all day. And it was quite a rush. In fact, I've been chasing that feeling all my life. And Hannibal's close. Hannibal's close to that feeling. But I'm still, that Corvette, that was quite an experience. And I have worked to build high performance cars of my own. I've never done it, you know, as a business or for my regular job. Most of the stuff I learned going to the drag strip, which I've been going to since I was 15 years old, 16 years old. But I've been a lot of street races. The people I've worked for, you know, everybody's gonna have a fast car, and they get to talking that stuff, and before you know it, they're meeting somewhere at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning on Friday or Saturday night, and you know, and that's where, you know, most of that background come from. But I worked very hard to learn, you know, what it took to make cars go fast. I had a lot of help from magazines, you know, the usual stuff. Hot Rod, Carcraft, Popular Hot Rodding, and some of the unusual stuff, like Car and Driver, Motor Trend, Automobile. Well, Automobile came later. But the books in my bathroom, they were all car books, no Playboys. They were all car books. Um, and, um, and it's still that way today. I mean, when I do have free time and I'm on the internet, it's car stuff. Some of it YouTube, but mostly manufacturers' catalogs. And the one catalog that I highly recommend is Jim Kinsler's Fuel Injection Handbook. There's a lot there. There's a lot there. If you own a computer, download it and take your time and go through it one page at a time, and you're gonna learn a lot. A lot of stuff is gonna come clear to you because they took time to put that book together, and it covers mechanical fuel injection. It covers some experimental stuff they've done. It covers the electronic fuel injection. But what you really need to pay attention to is the basic things that they talk about there. Because that's what it all boils down to, is the basics. A lot of people, they repeat stuff that they see and hear from other people as to what works and what don't work. Let me tell you, if you miss the basics, you're gonna miss the whole thing. Especially when it comes to fuel injection, ignition timing, and heat control. I'm gonna produce some videos talking about these subjects because so much is missing. And if you ever have time and the opportunity to take a close look at Hannibal, you'll see some of the really basic stuff that I've done, that I've applied to Hannibal, that allows him to do what he does. Hannibal, everybody thinks Hannibal is a race car. Well, Hannibal is a street car that you can race. He's very flexible in that I could turn him down enough to where I could do regular things. I drive him on a regular basis. You're gonna see in a future video that he has about 3,500 miles on the same engine. No, I don't take the engine apart every time I go to an event. Don't have to, because he's built to survive. Now, I've had the valve cover off to check the valve adjustment, and it was just a check because I was forced to use a really good rocker arm setup from Crower, because I did the one thing you're never supposed to do when you're building cars: fall in love with a part. And those orange valve covers, I just had to have them. And it cost me dearly, but we'll get to that. Hannibal's built in a very basic way. I know it looks crazy, and when you get close to it and you see some of the things, you're gonna say, man, there's a lot of stuff going on, and that's been repeated to me many times. But he's very basic, I'm going to try to show as much as I can and explain. That's the important thing. Explain why something works. Why something works, why we use it, and how does it add to the performance or the longevity. It's got a lot of parts that the average hot rodder is going to say, well, that don't work. Okay, if it doesn't work, tell me how to make it work. You see, you shouldn't state an opinion like that unless you can prove why your opinion or your personal facts are facts. If all you can tell me is that, well, Johnny does it this way and Matthew does it another way, well, that's not facts, bro. Those are observations. And I was feeling really mean when I was deciding to do this video, because I've read some pretty mean comments, and I tell you, man, it's just the lack of understanding. I'm not going to say a lack of knowledge, but I'm going to say a lack of understanding what certain parts do, and what effect they have on the parts that are next to them, because everything is connected. Everything is connected, and that has to be managed. You can't just throw parts together and say, well, this is what the internet says works. You can make anything work once or twice, and I'm sure a lot of you people who've watched a lot of videos and even gone to some events, you'll see a guy and his combination go out there and make a really hard hit. Can't do it twice. And I'm going to talk about a lot of the band-aids that people use that don't work. In fact, they will lead you to apply more band-aids to cover up the first band-aids. And there's some juicy ones out there, because I'm gonna tell you, I see some crazy stuff. And Hannibal is a good teaching tool. When I built him, I wanted something special, but I'm a mechanical guy. I'm not a body guy. There are a few actual car bodies that I actually like. My favorite car growing up was a 1913 Mercer Raceabout, yellow with black pinstriping. Notice the resemblance? But Google that, 1913 Mercer Raceabout. Jay Leno has one, and I'd love to have it. Bright line. 500 feet away, makes a lot of noise. The Mercer Raceabout was the first production car to go 100 miles an hour. And when you look at the pictures, you're going to see all the details of what makes it work. The gauges, the open seating. They came with fenders, but most racers took the fenders off. And you had to be a car guy to even get it started. It's got the carburetors back in that time did not have accelerator pumps. So to get a cold engine started, you had to put fuel in cups that dripped right into the combustion chamber, and that's how you would get it started. But that was my favorite car growing up. In high school, I owned some muscle cars. Chevelles, Impalas, no Camaro, never a Camaro, unibody. Give me a car with a frame. No Corvettes. I almost bought a Corvette brand new, but that's another story. We'll save that story. But Hannibal is built to have all of his systems, all the systems that make a car work. I wanted them to be fully visible, and we achieved that. That was hard to do, but we achieved that. So he's a good teaching tool. And the kids, I don't know why, but the kids just love them. You know, I try not to, you know, let them touch it when it's hot, because some of the parts, like the coolant pipes that run to the back and the exhaust, it stays hot for a long time. So if I'm going to take it where kids are going to be there, I try to get there early so the car can cool off. Or or when I pull up somewhere, they want to run up and touch it. It's like, please don't touch it while it's hot. I don't mind you touching it. And you know, and I see a lot of people at car shows and stuff. They'll have stickers on them or signs saying, "Look but don't touch." I want you to touch them, because if you break them by touching them, then I have work to do. I did something wrong. I always thought that I'd be teaching by now, but that didn't happen. But YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, I'm going to use that as a teaching tool. We're going to talk about different things, different systems, and why I did what I did on Hannibal. A lot of people are not going to like it, but what the heck? They're not going to like it. And since I'm old as hell, and if I see, you know, when the stuff is done, it's done. I'll call your name. It don't matter to me. Because right is right, wrong is wrong. Now my two Canadian buddies, you'll hear about them later. One's an outstanding fabricator, and the other one, he puts up a fight. But we're gonna cover all that, and they're two guys. They actually work together, and when you see them together, they're like freaking frack. But we'll get to that. But there's still a lot of fun. I like them. They built a car, a very unique car, and in fact, they modified a very old car, and it is the coolest. To me, it's the coolest idea of what to do with a car like that. We're going to talk about it. But I really like what they've done, and the manufacturers of that kind of car, of that brand of car, if they saw it in person, I think they would flip. I mean, I think they would really like it, because they've done something to it to make it very practical, but they kept the classic lines, and that's all I'm going to. I'm not going to say anything more about it. But to me, it's that cool. It really is. But as far as the teaching goes, we're gonna cover some things that to me, they're kind of obvious, because I shouldn't say that they're obvious to me because of anything. It's just, I see things in a very basic way. I always look at things in a very basic way, and I guess it's wrong for me to assume that other people see it that way, because I have no way of knowing what they were taught and what environment they were taught in. So it's difficult. So let's just say that at this point, I want to use my experience to help other people understand, and so they can have and build enjoyable cars that that are durable. I can't say cheap because you can't do cheap anymore. And I see these programs. Oh, you make 1,000 horsepower for $500. Maybe, but will it last? How long will it last? What else are you going to tear up to get there? So this should be fun. It's fun for me. I really do enjoy what I do. I wish other people would spend the time and put in the effort to do it. I would love to see more apprenticeships. I served in apprenticeship, and I earned my journeyman status through that apprenticeship. So I'm all for skilled trades, whether it's auto mechanics, carpentry, bricklayers, electricians, plumbers, because without that, we have nothing. You know, and these are things that we don't have training facilities for, because it requires a lot of hands-on learning and training. A lot of hands-on learning and training is required, and you don't get that in a four-year college environment. You know, you don't get field work. Schools don't usually build houses, so a carpenter don't get that hands-on training, or a plumber or electrician don't get that hands-on training unless they're in that hands-on situation. Because reading something is one thing, but getting it from your brain to your fingers, something completely different. So I'm going to end this video with thanking you in advance for following along, and I hope you subscribe, share, and please leave a comment. Now, even if you don't like what I say or the things I talk about, let me know, because I won't know unless you tell me, right? So I look forward to spending time with you. Thank you.